Just before we start, there is some vocabulary used in level 4 which hasn't been previously taught, and when this arises, just refer to the additional vocabulary sheet. Okay, if we want to say I was talking, for example, we would say estaba hablando, estaba hablando, estaba, I was, hablando, speaking or talking. So the estaba part, the I was part, is E-S-T-A-B-A, estaba, and the speaking, from hablar, is hablando, H-A-B-L-A-N-D-O, estaba hablando. And this can be applied to other verbs. So I was speaking, estaba hablando. If we want to say, for example, I was thinking about something, to think is pensar. So I was thinking, estaba pensando, estaba pensando. How would we say I was playing tennis? I was playing tennis. And if you note from your additional vocab sheet that to play something in Spanish, you have to play and then al and then the sport. So jugar al tenis, jugar al fútbol, jugar al baloncesto, for example. So how would you say I was playing tennis? Estaba jugando al tenis. Estaba jugando al tenis. How would you say I was changing money in the bank? I was changing money in the bank. Estaba cambiando dinero en el banco. Estaba cambiando dinero en el banco. What about I was helping at home? I was helping at home. And to help is ayudar, ayudar. And I think we've seen at home previously. So I was helping at home. Estaba ayudando en casa. Estaba ayudando en casa. So, ando, hablando, speaking. If we want to say I was doing something, but it's not an AR verb, so it's not hablar, doesn't end in AR, it ends in ER or IR, in which case it's yendo, yendo. So I was eating, estaba comiendo. I was drinking, estaba bebiendo. I was learning, estaba aprendiendo. So estaba comiendo, the comiendo part spelled C-O-M-I-E-N-D-O. How would you say I was eating something when ... something else happened. I was eating something when, and just to remind you, when is cuando, C-U-A-N-D-O, cuando. Estaba comiendo algo cuando... The word for to hear is oír, oír, spelled O-I-R, O-I-R, oír, to hear. How do we say I was watching the television when I heard something? When I heard something. So think back to the past tense. And e for I did something. And your I heard word is only going to have 2 letters in it. The last one with an accent. So I was watching TV when I heard something. What would that be? Estaba viendo la tele cuando oí algo. O estaba viendo la televisión cuando oí algo. How would we say I was making the bed? I was making the bed. And to do and to make are the same word. And the word for the bed is la cama. La cama. C-A-M-A. La cama. So I was making the bed. What would that be? Estaba haciendo la cama. Estaba haciendo la cama. So, for example, we could say I was making the bed when I saw something. Estaba haciendo la cama cuando vi algo. O estaba haciendo la cama cuando vi un insecto. An insect. Now, if I was is estaba, what do you think you were, or were you, in a question would be? What do you think the letter would be that we would add on to estaba to change it to you? Estabas. Estabas. So to ask the question, were you doing something? ¿Estabas haciendo algo? ¿Estabas haciendo algo? So how would we ask the question, what were you doing? What were you doing? 3 words. ¿Qué estabas haciendo? ¿Qué estabas haciendo? Okay, we're going to learn 2 words, 2 expressions, which both use con, which use with, and both start with ch, ch. And it's charlar con, which is to chat to or to chat with, and chocar con, which is to crash into. So charlar con, to chat with, and chocar con, to crash into. So charlar con, chocar con. Charlar, to chat, is spelt C-H-A-R-L-A-R. Chocar con is spelt C-H-O-C-A-R, and obviously con with C-O-N. So they say to crash with something rather than to crash into something. How would you say I was chatting with a friend? Estaba charlando con un amigo. Estaba charlando con un amigo. How would we say the car crashed into a lorry? The car crashed into a lorry. And a lorry is un camión. Un camión. C-A-M-I-O with an accent N. Un camión. So the car crashed with a lorry, or crashed into a lorry. El coche chocó con un camión. el coche chocó con un camión. How about the car crashed into a house? The car crashed into a house. El coche chocó con una casa. El coche chocó con una casa. How do we say I was crossing the street when the car crashed into me? I was crossing the street when the car crashed into me. And obviously the crash with me, the crashed into me, will be crash with me. And I was crossing the street. We had the street a while ago, which was la calle, but to cross is cruzar, C-R-U-Z-A-R. So to cross, cruzar. And incidentally, a cross is una cruz. So to cross, cruzar. So how do we say I was crossing the street when the car crashed into me? Estaba cruzando la calle cuando el coche chocó conmigo. Estaba cruzando la calle cuando el coche chocó conmigo. And you might possibly have got the crashed ending wrong. Just think the infinitive is chocar, and we want to say he, she, or it did this thing. So it can't be choqué, because that would be I crashed. It can't be chocaste, that would be you crashed. So chocó, he, she, or it crashed. How about I crashed into the car? Choqué con el coche. Choqué con el coche. Now, if we want to say I was going, we don't use the estaba something formula. We just used one word. So I was going is just iba. I-B-A. Iba. I was going. So iba, I was going. And you might notice this is the same tense as the used to tense, when we used to say I used to do something, and we called it the imperfect tense. Well, this is also used to say I was going. So iba means I was going, or as previously learnt, I used to go as well. They just got two different meanings. So I was going, iba. And if you remember back to the imperfect tense, the I bit is the same as the he or she or it bit. So we learnt that if we were saying I used to play, it would be jugaba, but also jugaba could mean he or she used to play. And this is the same for iba. So iba is I was going, but also he or she was going. So how would we say I was going very fast? I was going very fast. Iba muy rápido. Iba muy rápido. He was going very fast would be exactly the same. Iba muy rápido. And if we want to make it clear, that it was he, we would add él. Él iba muy rápido. How would we say he was going very slow? He was going very slow. Iba muy lento. Iba muy lento. What about he was going to cross the street? He was going to cross the street. Iba a cruzar la calle. Iba a cruzar la calle. So remember, in the same way as I am going to is voy a, or he is going to va a, we need the a. So iba a cruzar. He was going to cross the street. Iba a cruzar la calle. What about he was going to stop? He was going to stop. And to stop is parar. Parar, to stop. P-A-R-A-R. Parar, to stop. So he was going to stop would be iba a parar. Iba a parar. What about he wasn't going to stop? No iba a parar. No iba a parar. Now, if you cast your mind back quite a number of lessons when we were doing the past, and there were a number of irregular verbs that didn't have any accents, like tuve, I had. And one of those was pude, which was I could or I was able to. I could or I was able to. Pude. And if it was he or she, it would be pudo. So pude, I could or I was able to. Pudo, he or she was able to. How would you say I couldn't stop? I wasn't able to stop. Just 2 words. 3 words rather. No pude parar. No pude parar. What about he couldn't stop and he crashed into the lorry? He couldn't stop and he crashed into the lorry. No pudo parar y chocó con el camión. No pudo parar y chocó con el camión. What about the driver was going very fast and he couldn't stop? The driver was going very fast and he couldn't stop. And the driver is el conductor. El conductor, like the conductor, but he's actually the driver. El conductor. So the driver was going very fast and he couldn't stop. El conductor iba muy rápido y no pudo parar. El conductor iba muy rápido y no pudo parar.